As long as I was going after the crooks that didn't have badges, I was everybody's hero.
Vic, it's wonderful to see you. I have not seen you in person in this room in a couple months.
I know. Now, we've seen each other.
We have seen each other.
Off and on here in the office, but this is the first time we sit down to record in a couple months.
In a couple of months. We've been doing all these, all the old episodes, doing some of our reprises.
We picked some of our most popular episodes, the ones that had the most listeners, and we're replaying those.
We're replaying the greatest hits.
The greatest hits. I think we replayed No Candy in the Courtroom yesterday.
No candy.
We've replayed Hugh Ainsworth.
We did. Jason and Doug Swanson. All of our cool interviewees.
I know, and I was surprised at how high our listenership was on the replays.
Yeah, man.
So there must be a lot of interest.
Well, I think we have so many new people listening to the podcast every day that I think it's almost crucial to replay some of our old stuff, because who's going to scroll through 90 episodes to get to, Hugh Ainsworth?
Yeah, I agree.
So, it's cool, but it's very nice to see you.
It's nice to see you, Jonathan. You're my buddy, man.
I miss this.
You sent me the statistics, our listener statistics, a couple weeks ago. Sure. I went over them. Explain to me how we now have 3.5%. I think I'm reading that right, or was it 0.35% of our listeners are in Russia?
Not just Russia, Moscow, Russia.
Moscow, Russia. Hey, guys.
I think they want to know about the deep state in the U.S. and how they operate.
Yeah, they want to, yeah.
Or maybe they're just interested in the confession killer. I don't know, but yeah, we've... First China spiked, and now we have Russia spiking. Who knows, man?
We got listeners in China. We got listeners in Russia. And right now, everything that's going on in America, it's like we're between a rock and a hard place.
That's true, right?
It's just not good. No matter which way you turn, you're going to offend somebody. You're in danger of getting yelled at. A shopping mall security guard got stabbed 27 times yesterday for telling a lady to put on a face mask.
You're kidding.
She and her sister attacked this security guard, held him down, and stabbed him 27 times over a face mask.
That's madness.
Yeah, they're both locked up in jail right now under no bond, which I don't like the idea of no bond, but people like that don't need to be running the streets. That's just pretty damn crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn crazy.
Yeah, anybody volatile enough to stab somebody 27 times, that's madness.
Our country is in a pretty precarious place right now.
I tend to agree.
We're 1 week out from the election, less than a week, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows what's going to happen, really, because who can believe the polls?
Yeah.
The polls weren't right last time.
Right.
So, and we're a nation that has become just about addicted, almost like a drug addiction. We're addicted to this technology that brings us all these awful, scary images every day.
Oh, sure.
And turns us against each other. Turning us against each other and turning us into bad people. I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and in the 60s,
you did.
We had hope.
Yeah, the Beatles.
We did. We had hope that the world was going to become a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, it was becoming a better place. But as the tide comes in, often, not often, it always comes back out.
Yeah.
So often with progress, we have this 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's just that kind of thing. It's a creative tension kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just praying that we start to come out of it rather than continue this downward spiral into hate and division.
I agree with you.
All of us need to work on ourselves. We all need to work on being better human beings.
Ooh.
We do. Our politicians will stand up and say, we got to be a better country. We got to be a better state. The world should be better. The world's not going to get any better. The country's not going to get any better unless individual people start getting better.
Yeah.
Forget about making the world better. Forget about making the country better. Work on making yourself better. And the country and the world will become better.
I tend to agree with that, Vic. Do you remember there was, I want to say it was a book that you gave me at one point, and there was a little story in there about a preacher who was trying to think of his sermon, and it was a rainy day, and he had his son in the other room, and the son was driving him bonkers. So he finally finds a magazine, and he pulls out this paper, and there's a picture of a guy on it. He pulls it out and rips it in a bunch of little pieces and gives it to the kid and says, hey, like a puzzle, put it together. Do you remember this?
I remember that.
And the kid puts it together, and he did it incredibly quick. And he goes to his dad and goes, all done, something new. And the dad goes, well, how on earth did you do it so quickly? And he shows him, it's a great little parable, Vic, but he shows him that on the other side of this page, there was a guy, and on the other side was a picture of the world. And he said, if you get everything right with the guy, everything will be right with the world. And so he was able to put the puzzle together because he was able to fit the world together in order to get the guy together. So he kind of thought I was outside of the box, but the principle being, if you get it right with yourself, Vic, your outside world gets better. And it's a beautiful story, but you're absolutely right, and I agree with you.
So what the daddy was seeing was the picture of the globe.
Is
and
that what
he
it
wanted
was?
him to put together the globe.
Boom.
But the kid figured out that on the other side was a picture of just a man standing there, and that was a lot easier to put together because daddy had torn all the countries apart and all that kind of stuff. And so the little kid just flipped it all over, put the man up together, taped it, and there it was. The world was together.
But it's great.
Yes.
And it's totally accurate. And remember, at the end it says, oh, that's my sermon for Sunday. Get it right with the person, get it right with the world. But I agree with you, Vic. And you and I were talking earlier over some pizza. And
wasn't Moroso's today.
Moroso's
I'll be so happy when they open up for lunch again.
I know, man. I know. But we were talking about, and I was bringing up this old George Carlin skit. And he was, how he got real political near the end of his career. And he was up there talking about how the politics of today, how we complain about, God, how did this person get into power? God, we're ruled by a bunch of crooks and this and this. And, at the end of the day, Vic, they got there for a reason. And it was the millions of votes of people in this country that got them there.
Mm-hmm. And
the politicians that are in place right now are a direct reflection of the society that just allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, if there was a better candidate, they would have won.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's responsibility. What you said, Vic, we have to look at ourselves and our humanity and our responsibility to be more appropriate, man.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Things used to be a lot better in politics when it came to nominating a party nominating their candidate for president.
Mm-hmm.
Used to, a political convention could last for a week.
For real?
It could last for weeks. It could last forever. I mean, there have been times in our history when the voting on the floor went into the hundreds of counts before they ever came up with somebody. And a lot of times it was somebody that nobody had even thought of before. It was because they had to get everybody together. Back then, it took, they've changed the numbers from time to time, but it used to be 2/3, and then it became a simple majority, and then they changed it back and forth. But they changed the structure of political conventions, the Democratic convention and the Republican convention, to fit TV. So it would last just so long, and we had to have all these breaks for commercials, and it had to come in at just the right time, and it got turned into a big show instead of a political process. What we're seeing right now with political conventions and even with political races, it's not about finding out what the issues are.
No, it's a dog and pony show.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's nothing but entertainment. We've allowed our democracy to be turned into a Roman circus.
Yes.
The things I see going on in this election just appall me.
It's crazy, Vic. Someone said it, and it may have been Biden said. He said it was very unpresidential the way Trump has been acting, and I agree, man. I totally agree. It's like they've just blown apart all sense of morality and ability to act civil. In a way that, I mean, I'm in my mid-30s. I've never seen it in my lifetime.
I'll be 70 my next birthday, and I've never seen it. I remember the first thing I saw on TV. We got our black and white TV. My dad plugged it in, and he turned it on, and there was Dwight D. Eisenhower standing up giving a speech.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's the first thing you ever saw? Oh.
I said, Daddy, who's that? He said, that's our president. That's Dwight D. Eisenhower. I thought, oh, man, I want to be like him someday.
On a big screen TV?
Yeah. And I was like 5 years old. And he's still one of my heroes. And I still think he's one of the best presidents we ever had. Him and I tell you who could straighten things out right now if he were still alive.
Who's that?
If he were able to do it. That's Lyndon Johnson.
Hey. You have a very large Lyndon Johnson head.
Big old Lyndon Johnson head over here that I've got. I wonder if I can pick that up.
This thing is huge.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
If you're a listener, you can go to YouTube and you can see the size of this head Vic's currently holding. What is that thing made out of?
It's plaster of Paris. Isn't that great? I bought that at a shop in Austin. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Years and years and years ago. Anyway, I love old Lyndon. He doesn't get enough credit. He still gets slammed around for the Vietnam War, which, he inherited from Kennedy.
He did.
And even Eisenhower was kind of playing with it a little before Kennedy, because the French had been in Vietnam and decided we've had enough.
Yep.
We want out. And I'm not going to say anything bad about the French, but, they kind of have a reputation for doing that. And
they tend to fold in wartime.
Jesus, and we have to go in and clean it up. And that's what happened with Vietnam. But I'm telling you, Lyndon Johnson is the one who pushed through the Civil Rights Act of 1964. If it hadn't been for Lyndon Johnson and Hubert Humphrey, it probably wouldn't have been passed. Everybody today, they don't realize the kind of hard work that it took to get that passed. And what great men Lyndon Johnson and Hubert Humphrey was. And now we're living in a time where it's the sentiment of many of our politicians and the sentiment of many of our people to try to reverse all of that progress that was made in the 60s and 70s and just totally reverse it and take away people's rights.
Right.
But, we're being conditioned by TV that we're addicted to.
1,000%, Vic. Elon Musk was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was very interesting because he was asked about the relationship between technology and a human being. And, Joe Rogan's like, well, when do you think we'll see this blending of technology and a human being, almost like this android nature? And Elon Musk goes, we're already there. Look at your phone. It is so conditioned to be part of you. It's as if it's its own limb, and people will defend it. It's madness, but that relationship and blending of technology and humanity, it has already taken place. It's already here.
Yeah, and now you don't even see them walking around like this on the phone so much anymore because most people have one of those Apple Watches. Yeah, you've got one. And if you got the headphones that go with it, I've got those AirPod Pros, the noise cancelers. Man, those things are neat. I remember the first time I put those on and I heard the music coming out of it. I went about a foot off the ground with excitement. My wife just laughed and giggled because she had bought them for me as a present.
Nice.
I said, did you slip me acid? Is this an LSD trip?
You dose me.
Wow,
Come on.
The sound is incredible. The sound was so good, I thought I could see it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I can see it.
So now, and she's got one of those watches. I don't have one yet, but she's telling me she's going to give me one for Christmas.
You should.
We'll see.
See what Santa Claus brings in.
But yeah, she doesn't even need to pull her phone out of her purse anymore. It's just everything's right there, or she can hear it right here. It even reads her text messages.
We're
to
integrated,
her.
Man. We are integrated.
Yeah.
But with that integration, Vic, it's exactly what you said. It's that it obviously is going to have an effect on you in the way you perceive the world, the way you perceive news, and the way you are biased towards things. So I wholeheartedly agree with what you said.
And we're addicted to it. It plays
yes.
into our obsessive compulsive tendencies very much. I've tried to cut down on my coffee consumption.
Fair.
I've tried to cut down on my red wine consumption.
Fair.
And I'm trying to cut down on my internet consumption, especially Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
Especially Facebook.
That's
Instagram isn't quite so bad because people don't get on there yelling and screaming at each other like they do on Facebook. You can put anything on Facebook and start an argument.
Oh, yeah. Start a war.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll put something real innocuous up there just to see what people say. And I go, oh, wow. Now I get to unfriend about 10 people and make room for 10
Well, during
more.
the time you put the picture up of you in your Ugg boots.
Yeah. I love my Uggs. Don't be dissing my Uggs.
I know you do.
Yeah.
whatever makes you comfy.
And today, by the way, if anybody's noticed, I'm wearing these bracelets.
What are those?
I usually don't wear a bracelet. As a matter of fact, I never wear a bracelet. Yeah. But a friend of mine sent this to me. And a sweet little note. These are sold to help save some of the whales that eat the plankton because they're digesting so much plastic in the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
That's giving them cancer. It's killing them. You know, it's messing up their organs. And some of these are made from the actual plastic that they've retrieved from the ocean.
Oh, wow.
And so my friend Nancy Felix sent this to me.
Cool.
And I've been wearing that crazy clear face mask around here. So
you look like some NBA player.
Yeah.
It's like a whole face shield.
It is. Big old face. But so you could tell if I'm frowning or smiling. But Nancy sent me this.
I like that.
I kind of like that. Well, I can't put it on because of these things.
You can get around the headphones. Well, that's cool. For our listeners only, this is a nice mask. Yeah, it's got the ohm thing on there.
Yeah.
I like it. Good colors. Cool. Cool gifts.
She
very peaceful.
She's a meditator. Friend of mine.
She's a meditator.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's friends with my buddies John Harrell and Dan Bullock down in Austin.
Cool, man.
Yeah. All really good people.
Good folks.
Yeah.
Good folks. So what do you think though, Vic? So what do you think? Obviously the election is next week. What do you think is going to happen post-election as far as a transition of power, as far as civil unrest, and what would the message be to people?
The message is whatever happens, breathe. Don't go breaking any windows. Don't go starting any fires. And whoever wins, it's only 4 years, and maybe not even that long, as old as these guys are.
Yeah.
You know, I know Mr. Trump probably doesn't have the healthy lifestyle that I've got. Biden may have. He's pretty thin. I saw him going up the steps to the airplane the other day, and he was taking those steps at a run.
Oh, yeah.
2 at a time, man. Doom, 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 doom. Gets to the top, not out of breath, waves, you know. So I'm not worried about him, you know, unless something comes out of left field. Sure. But after Donald Trump has already had COVID,
yeah,
and they know that gives you lingering side effects. It hurts your heart.
Right.
And his wife is still sick enough that she's curtailed her schedule a lot.
Right.
So, you know, Lord knows how long he will even last. God bless him. You know, I pray for him. I really do.
Yep.
Between me and you, and don't tell anybody, I didn't vote for him. And I keep imagining, and imagine this with me, if you would. I keep imagining waking up on the day after the election and thinking about how all the rest of the planet, the rest of the globe, the rest of the world could suddenly have respect for American people again.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump lost by a huge landslide.
Right.
Hugely. If he lost hugely, I think it would make the rest of the world respect us. I think it would make the rest of the world think those people woke up. They had a bad experiment. It didn't work. This guy played to everybody's fears. He played to the least common denominator. And I know a lot of good people, friends of mine, that I consider smart, that don't feel the way I feel about it.
Sure.
And I respect that. I got a note. I'm not going to say who this is from. I got a text yesterday from a friend of mine who I had asked to vote for my two friends that are running for Texas Supreme Court.
Nice.
Amy Clark Meacham and Gisela Triana. And he wrote me and said, well, I voted for your two Democratic ladies that are running for the Texas Supreme Court, but I voted for Trump too. I wrote him back and said, well, I thank you, and I forgive you.
Thank you. Forgiven.
He wrote me back with a lot of ha-ha-ha-has. You know? But I respect him. I do. But in my heart, in my soul, and from my understanding of what the Jesus message is all about, I could not vote for him.
Yeah. There's you and I are on the same page with that. There's some issues, but again, totally open to interpretation. I've had people who are huge Trump supporters that have made some great points, but there's also some blind eyes that are turned to a lot of the things he does. And at the end of the day, Vic, there's always people in the position of what is the greatest good, and I don't like that, because I think when you start bringing that into play, I think there's a lot more you could do to balance things out. And, he's done too many things that to me are unforgivable and very unpresidential and unleadership-like, to where it's like, no. No.
And I don't understand. And I have some dear friends who are just rabid, avid supporters of Donald Trump.
But to support him, you have to turn a blind eye.
You have to turn
he has done.
To the things he's done, the things he said.
Well, he may have done that, but he also did this, but he may have done that. But it's like, yeah, but it matters. It matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish people who claim to be Christian would really get into what the Jesus message is about. Read the words of Jesus. Stay out of the Old Testament, guys. Jesus came to put that aside. People forget he brought us a new covenant. The Old Testament is the old covenant. A lot of Christians will say, yeah, but Jesus said not one jot, not one tittle of the law will be taken away until all is fulfilled. Well, people, Christians, all was fulfilled when he rose from the dead. That did it. That was the new covenant. So get out of Leviticus. Get out of there. Get out of all that. You eat shrimp, you're worthy of death.
I like scrimps.
It's just that is not the Jesus message. And go read the red words in the book of Revelation. Read the red words. That's the words that Jesus said. And that's where he says that a lot of people will come to me at the end of the time and say, oh, but we did this for you. We preached for you. We did all this other stuff for you. And he'll say, depart from me. I never knew you.
Ooh, my bad.
Because you didn't know what love was.
Ooh.
The Jesus I know would rather us know what love is than even know his name. Think about it. Somebody that's omniscient, omnipresent, part of the Godhead, is not going to be some egotistical little crybaby who says, you got to know my name. You got to worship me. You can't ever glance anywhere else or you're worthy of death.
I'll be messed up, man.
No, man. Jesus said love, period. Pure and simple. That's it. But we live in a time where we're in such fear, where we're willing to give up our rights and let other people control us, whether it's the military-industrial complex or the police-military complex that exists now.
Which we've talked about.
We got police shooting people in the streets now because they say, I don't have a taser because the budget was taken away, but that same police department probably has armored vehicles.
Yeah.
You don't need that stuff. The police is not the military. If we need that, we call in the National Guard. Yep. The police should be there to protect and serve. But instead of protecting the public. Too often the police they're only interested in protecting themselves.
It's true.
Their budget, their agenda.
Yep.
You know, let's get back to protecting people.
Yeah.
Protecting people. The dangerous ones, take them off the street. And once again, I want to preach this message. Legalize drugs.
Yeah.
It would stop so much of the real crime that's going on the streets. It would stop so many of the police shootings. And people shouldn't have to be controlled. They shouldn't have to be protected against themselves. If somebody wants to take drugs, let them. Whatever somebody wants to do in their own bedroom, as long as it's not with somebody underage, as long as it's with somebody consenting,
True.
let them.
Have at it.
I remember when the motel first got popular, after cars got real popular. In the 50s, they started getting real popular, and even more so in the 60s. Mm-hmm. It also gave people a place where they could go, because before then, you know, if you went and checked into a hotel, there was a lobby you had to walk through in front of other people. So it gave people who wanted to mess around a place where they could go and check in and just mess around.
Oh, there you go.
I remember there was this one comedian in the 50s. His name was Professor Backwards, and he would spell everything backwards and say everything backwards. And he says, and motel spelled backwards. That's let them. So,
Let them.
Let them. So what? Let them. You know?
Okay.
In your own bedroom, in your own medicine cabinet, what you want to do with yourself, the government shouldn't get involved.
Yeah.
Shouldn't get involved.
I agree.
We should be involved in rebuilding our infrastructure.
Yeah.
You
That'd
know,
be nice.
Forget about trying to go and tell the rest of the world what to do and go fight their wars. Let's rebuild our bridges that are falling down. Let's do something to help Smokey Bear prevent some of these forest fires.
Oh, but you got to keep them floors clean, Vic. Keep them. Yeah, go rake them leaves up.
Yeah. Reach out to Joe Rogan again. Tell him to get me down there on his show. I could help his ratings.
Yeah, it's time to go down and get you on the show.
Yeah, I know.
Show with Joe.
Yeah, he's in Austin now.
Yes.
Give us a call, Joe.
Or email, text.
I think I know I think I know the part of town he lives in. It's close to where I used to live.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a studio built in his house.
I believe so.
And I'd like to go see it. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I think he and I could have a good time.
I do too. I think it'd be a really cool episode to have you guys talk. Especially on stuff like legalization and political thoughts and spirituality.
And that's another reason I'm for Biden, is because he came out recently and said he would legalize marijuana.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that would do so much. It'd free up our police.
Oh, it would do a million good things, but it really would.
It would stop the police from hassling three guys standing on the corner just because they're standing there because they might have weed in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't need that.
We
don't need that. And we already know that weed is not a bad thing for most people.
Not a bad thing.
They're finding so many good things that it does.
And if you don't want to do it,
don't. Don't.
That's fine too.
Don't. If you don't want to smoke weed, don't smoke. You don't want to have gay sex, don't have it. But so what if somebody else does?
You get choice.
You don't want to marry somebody of the same sex? Don't.
This episode is sponsored by Choice.
Yeah, so what? So what?
Oh, man. Well, that's enough political talk. That's enough of that. Let's talk about you, Vic. So we've been really, really busy, man. And obviously we've been playing the old episodes because we actually have a few hours of new stuff we've been working on. And we've been doing like a lot of production on it, a lot more articles, a lot more news clips. Mm-hmm. And it's some Lucas stuff where we focus in on a Lucas case. And one of them that was actually covered on the Netflix documentary, which is great. So that's coming down the pipe. But with
Deborah Sue Williamson.
Deborah Sue Williamson. I don't know if you want to
we've
say
got
it.
all kinds of great video of Bob and Joyce Lemons. Mm-hmm. And then you and I interviewed Liz Flatt, Deborah Sue Williams, Deborah Sue Williams' sister.
Right.
And we're probably going to make 3 or 4 episodes out of that.
Yes, we've been taking our time on that kind of stuff because it's cool. They're very good people, Vic, and it deserves, that story deserves to be told very well.
Very well.
So we're doing.
And also the John Ben Sutter story.
And Mr. John Ben Sutter, who was your assistant back at the DA's office.
He was.
He's funny. He was funnier, man, than I thought he would be.
He's just hilarious.
Funny man.
Probably most of our listeners don't know who Dom DeLuise was, but Google Dom DeLuise. He was a friend of Burt Reynolds and an actor and a comedian. Sutter reminds me of him a lot. Yeah, and especially in the 80s when he worked for me.
He had like these Where's Waldo glasses. He was a interesting character, to say the least.
He's brilliant, and he's interesting, and he's very funny. And so we're going to do probably 3 episodes with Sutter.
Yeah, 2 to 3 episodes worth with him.
He's got some good stories to tell about seeing the FBI pull up at his front yard and 2 men in suits get out and grab his garbage cans and throw them into the back seat of the car.
God, man. Yeah, he was there with you during that whole thing.
During the whole thing.
So he's got some really cool points of view.
Yeah, he was homesick the day I was arrested. And
was he, quote unquote, homesick, or was he actually sick?
No, he was actually sick. He had to get up and come to work and start dealing with the press while he was sick. And you kind of tell he wasn't feeling good during some of those interviews. And it wasn't just because I was arrested. And also, we're going to, sometime early next year, play the speech that I gave in the circus tent the day after I was elected.
Oh, yeah, we have that.
I mean, not elected, arrested.
Arrested.
Yeah.
We got that.
That's a good speech.
That's a great one. We've used a couple excerpts in the
little
past.
Excerpts. Yeah.
I'm thinking some like the trailer stuff, but very cool. But one of the big things, Vic, that you've been working on during these last couple weeks is your book.
Couple books, yeah.
So you've decided to reissue. You did a little tweaking on the book, Rhinos, Sharks, and Unicorns.
I did. A
hero's journey.
Rhinos, Sharks, and Unicorns: A Hero's Journey.
Love it.
It's the volume 1. Volume 2 is Rhinos, Sharks, and Unicorns: The Journey Continues. And volume 3 is Rhinos, Sharks, and Unicorns: Endings and Beginnings. But what I did, I've learned a lot about writing since I first published book 1. Mm-hmm. So I went back through and I re-edited. I moved some stuff around. I shortened some chapters, and we got a new cover.
Yeah, I like the cover. They did a good job.
Good job on it. So we're going to start selling that online probably in a week or 2.
So, looking for a stocking stuffer? What's better than Rhino, Sharks, and Unicorns?
Yeah. Well, maybe a pound of our coffee. Well, it's not really a pound. I don't want to misadvertise. They don't ever do anything by a pound anymore.
It's like 10 ounces.
10 ounces. 10 lousy little ounces.
You can get a 10-ounce bag, or you can get these cool 3-ounce bags.
Yeah, they'll make a cup.
Honestly, for me, these the little bags will make about 2 pots.
Really?
Yep, I can get 2 pots out of these.
It's not too bad.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Great stocking stuffers. Load up.
And order my book. You can order it on Amazon.
Yeah, you do the whole the Kindle downloadable thing right now, right?
You can either download it on Kindle or you can buy a paperback.
Love it.
Yeah, they'll mail you the paperback, or if you want a signed paperback, you can buy it through our website, and I'll autograph it for you, and we'll mail it to you.
So that's cool. So that's what we've been up to for the last month and a half or so, just working on episodes, and you've been working on your book.
I'm working on book 2. I expect it to be published in the spring.
Cool. And
we've also got the new podcast coming out. We haven't decided really what to name it yet. We're playing with the idea of practicing mindfulness.
Yeah, this be a Vic only podcast. It'd be the Vic Daily, not daily,
not daily,
because you've got an incredible quantity of good stories out there, man, and I'm quite excited to hear a lot of your wisdom.
But that's our working title, Practicing Mindfulness with Vic Feazell. We might name it. Yeah, you can. I'm still thinking about it. I like the little logo you did, though.
The little floating meditating Vic.
We're also still working on editing our episodes with Scott Goyette.
Scott Goyette, yes. He's
going to be on the Mindfulness podcast.
Mm-hmm.
An interview with Scott. He's a great guy. Has some really good programs for self-development and spiritual growth. And we may put some of it on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because it's really good. I like it.
There's some very good stuff. He has some really cool ideas and thoughts and acronyms.
I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago.
How was it?
It was really good.
How did it go?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I posted a link to it on my Facebook page. I'll repost it next week so that if anybody wants to watch me and Scott on there, we can. Okay, I was on another podcast recently, Surviving the Storm. I was with Scott Goyette and Christopher Rausch, Rausch.
Cool.
Both great interviewers, both very spiritual men. I really enjoyed the hour and 15 minutes we talked with each other. And that's up on Christopher's podcast. It's called Friday Night Live.
Nice.
And it's called Surviving the Storm with Christopher Rausch and Scott Goyette. Cool. And I was their guest, I think October 17th, somewhere around there. And we had a good time. And I encourage everybody to listen to Scott and to Christopher's websites and their podcast, and look at their websites and go to their YouTube channels.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Vic, that's the State of the Union.
Well, yeah, it is. Borat's got a new movie coming out.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
It's out.
It's out?
Oh, yeah.
Hadn't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Rudy Giuliani's cameo.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And
just ridiculous.
See if he was really just tucking in his shirt.
I saw it. He's just tucking his shirt in.
I think he was too. I've seen Borat stuff before.
But,
he's something.
Funny. Well, it's good to see you, man. Let's do this again soon.
I'm for it.
And that is the word of the Lord.
Hi, I'm Vic Feazell. During these trying times, you might want to just stay home. And at the law offices of Vic Feazell, we understand. That's why we're set up to handle your personal injury claim without you even having to come in. Just give us a call, and we'll take it from there. We can send any paperwork straight to your smartphone or computer. Don't delay, because if we don't put money in your pocket, you don't owe us anything. I'm Vic Feazell.